Led by Adolf Hitler, Nazi Germany stood as the central force of the Axis. Hitler rose to power on the 30th of January, 1933, becoming Chancellor with a vision of overturning the Treaty of Versailles, rearming the Reich, and pursuing Lebensraum living space in Eastern Europe. On the 1st of September, 1939, Germany invaded Poland, unleashing World War II as Britain and France declared war 2 days later. Employing Blitzkrieg lightning war, German forces rapidly overwhelmed Denmark and Norway in April 1940, then swept through the Low Countries and France by June, forcing the French surrender in Compiègne on the 22nd of June, 1940. By the 22nd of June, 1941, Hitler launched Operation Barbarossa, the largest invasion in history, sending over 3 million troops into the Soviet Union in a campaign aimed at seizing Ukraine's resources, Moscow and Leningrad. German forces occupied nearly all of continental Europe, from Paris to Warsaw, Oslo to Athens, establishing puppet regimes such as Vichy France, Slovakia, and Croatia. Meanwhile, Nazi ideology drove genocidal policies, culminating in the Holocaust, with death camps like Auschwitz, Treblinka, and Sobibor systematically murdering millions. Despite early victories, Germany's advance stalled in the brutal Soviet winter of 1941, shattered further at Stalingrad in February 1943, and broken in Normandy on the 6th of June, 1944, with the Allied D-Day landings. Encircled by the Soviets from the east and the Western Allies from the west, Berlin fell in May 1945. Hitler committed suicide on the 30th of April, and Germany's unconditional surrender followed on May 8, 1945, marking the downfall of the Third Reich. Under Benito Mussolini, Fascist Italy emerged as a key Axis power, bound to Germany by the Pact of Steel, signed on May 22, 1939. Mussolini envisioned a revival of the new Roman Empire, aiming to dominate the Mediterranean and Africa. Italy had already invaded Ethiopia on the 3rd of October, 1935, using chemical weapons to secure victory by May 1936, and annexed Albania on the 7th of April, 1939. After entering World War II on the 10th of June, 1940, Italy attacked southern France, then targeted Greece on the 28th of October, 1940, from Albanian bases. The campaign stalled, forcing German intervention in April 1941 during the Balkan invasion that crushed Yugoslavia and Greece. Italy also joined the North African campaign, but defeats at El Alamein in October to November 1942 and Allied advances from Operation Torch devastated its forces. Despite occupying parts of Yugoslavia, Dalmatia, and the Dodecanese, Italian control faced relentless partisan resistance. On the 25th of July, 1943, following the Allied invasion of Sicily on the 9th of July, Mussolini was deposed by King Victor Emmanuel III and arrested. Italy signed an armistice with the Allies on the 8th of September, 1943, but Germany swiftly occupied northern and central Italy, establishing Mussolini as head of the puppet Italian Social Republic in Salò. Brutal fighting followed until Mussolini's capture and execution on the 28th of April, 1945, near Lake Como. 2 days later, on the 30th of April, Hitler committed suicide in Berlin, and on May 2, German forces in Italy surrendered, ending Mussolini's shattered dream of empire. Imperial Japan's path to war began on the 18th of September, 1931, with the Mukden Incident, leading to the invasion of Manchuria and the creation of the puppet state of Manchukuo in 1932. Determined to dominate East Asia, Japan launched a full-scale war against China on the 7th of July, 1937, after the Marco Polo Bridge incident, capturing Shanghai, Nanjing, and Wuhan, while committing atrocities such as the Nanjing Massacre in December 1937. Seeking vital resources of oil, rubber, and tin, Japan turned southward. On the 7th of December 1941, Japanese carrier aircraft struck Pearl Harbor in Hawaii, crippling the United States Pacific Fleet and bringing America into the war. Simultaneously, Japan swept across Southeast Asia, seizing Hong Kong on the 25th of December 1941, the Philippines by May 1942, Burma, Malaya, and the Dutch East Indies. At its height, the Japanese Empire stretched from the Aleutian Islands to New Guinea. Yet the tide turned with the Battle of Midway on the 4th of June to 7, 1942, where Japan lost 4 carriers, and the brutal Guadalcanal campaign from August 1942 to February 1943 further weakened its momentum. Relentless United States island-hopping campaigns closed in, while devastating naval battles like Leyte Gulf in October 1944 crippled Japan's fleet. By mid-1945, with cities firebombed and Okinawa lost, defeat loomed. On the 6th of August and 9, the United States dropped atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, while the Soviet Union invaded Manchuria on the 8th of August. Facing annihilation, Emperor Hirohito announced Japan's surrender on the 15th of August, 1945, formally signed aboard USS Missouri on the 2nd of September, ending the Pacific War. Hungary, under Regent Miklos Horthy, joined the Axis on the 20th of November, 1940, signing the Tripartite Pact to regain lands lost in the Treaty of Trianon. It annexed northern Transylvania from Romania in 1940 and took part in the Axis invasion of Yugoslavia on the 6th of April, 1941. On the 27th of June 1941, Hungary declared war on the Soviet Union, sending the Second Hungarian Army to the Eastern Front. At Stalingrad in early 1943, it suffered catastrophic losses, with over 1 lakh soldiers killed or captured, shattering its military strength. As Hungary wavered, Germany launched Operation Margaretha on the 19th of March, 1944, occupying the country and forcing a pro-Nazi regime into power. In October 1944, the Arrow Cross Party under Ferenc Szálasi seized control, escalating terror and deportations of Jews to Auschwitz. From December 1944 to February 1945, the Battle of Budapest devastated the capital, leaving tens of thousands dead. By April 1945, Soviet forces had overrun Hungary, ending its Axis role and placing it firmly under communist domination. Romania, under General Ion Antonescu, joined the Axis on the 23rd of November, 1940, signing the Tripartite Pact after losing Bessarabia and northern Bukovina to the Soviets in June 1940. Determined to recover them, Antonescu aligned with Hitler, offering not just troops but also the vital Ploiești oil fields, lifeline of Germany's war machine. On the 22nd of June, 1941, Romania entered Operation Barbarossa with 3 lakh soldiers, retaking Bessarabia and advancing into Ukraine. Its armies fought at Odessa and Stalingrad, where the 3rd and 4th Romanian armies collapsed under the Soviet counteroffensive in November 1942, suffering over 150,000 losses. Despite crippling defeats, German reliance on Romanian oil bound the alliance. But by August 1944, with the Red Army on its borders, King Michael I staged a coup on the 23rd of August, arresting Antonescu and switching to the Allies. Romania then declared war on Germany, helping liberate Transylvania and advancing into Hungary and Czechoslovakia. Once Hitler's key ally, Romania's dramatic reversal hastened Germany's collapse on the Eastern Front. Formed on the 14th of March, 1939, after Nazi Germany dismantled Czechoslovakia, Slovakia became a German puppet state under Catholic priest-turned-politician Joseph Tiso. Closely tied to Berlin, Slovakia signed the Tripartite Pact on the 24th of November, 1940, cementing its role as a loyal Axis partner. In September 1939, Slovak troops joined Germany's invasion of Poland, and on the 22nd of June, 1941, when Operation Barbarossa began, Slovakia sent 2 divisions east, later reorganized into the Slovak Fast Division that fought deep into Ukraine and Russia. Despite its small size, the country was strategically valuable for its location and unwavering support of Hitler's campaigns. But as the war turned, discontent simmered at home. On the 29th of August, 1944, the Slovak national uprising erupted in Banská Bystrica, led by Slovak resistance and army officers seeking to overthrow Tiso's regime and join the Allies. German forces crushed the rebellion by October, executing thousands and deporting Jews. Yet the uprising signaled Slovakia's fracture. Once a compliant satellite, by 1944 it became another Axis ally consumed by Germany's unraveling grip. On the 1st of March, 1941, Bulgaria officially joined the Axis, lured by Hitler's promises of territorial expansion in the Balkans. Within weeks, its troops marched into parts of northern Greece and Yugoslavia after Germany's April 1941 offensives, securing strategic ports and regions that Sofia long coveted. Yet, unlike other Axis partners, Bulgaria carefully avoided direct war with the Soviet Union, wary of both historical ties and internal opposition. Instead, on the 13th of December, 1941, under German pressure, it declared war on Britain and the United States, though its military role against the Western Allies was minimal. By 1943, with Allied bombing raids striking Sofia and popular unrest mounting, the country's Axis loyalty began to waver. As the Red Army advanced into the Balkans in September 1944, Bulgaria abruptly switched sides, declaring war on Germany on the 8th of September. Within days, Bulgarian forces were fighting their former partners in occupied Yugoslavia and Hungary, transforming from Axis ally to reluctant anti-German combatant in the final year of the war. At dawn on the 9th of April 1940, Germany launched Operation Weserübung, striking Denmark and Norway simultaneously to secure vital North Sea and Baltic access. Unlike the prolonged Norwegian campaign, Denmark collapsed in just 6 hours, making it one of the shortest military operations of the war. By the afternoon of the 9th of April, Copenhagen had capitulated, and Denmark became an occupied state rather than a full Axis partner. A Danish collaborationist government, led by King Christian X and existing political leaders, continued to function under German oversight, balancing fragile autonomy with obedience. This uneasy arrangement lasted until August 1943, when nationwide strikes, sabotage, and growing resistance forced Berlin to dissolve the government and impose direct military rule. For Hitler, Denmark's real value was strategic. Its airfields provided staging points for Luftwaffe raids against Britain, while control of Jutland secured the gateway to the Baltic Sea. Yet beneath the occupation's surface, Denmark harbored one of Europe's most effective resistance movements, laying the groundwork for liberation in 1945. Finland's role in World War II was unique, never a formal Axis member, yet tied to Germany by circumstance. After the bitter defeat in the Winter War, the 30th of November, 1939, to the 13th of March, 1940, when the Soviet Union seized Karelia and forced Finland into the Moscow Peace Treaty, resentment ran deep. On the 25th of June, 1941, only days after Hitler's invasion of the Soviet Union, Finland entered what became the Continuation War, 1941 to 1944, seeking to reclaim lost lands. German troops were allowed to operate from Finnish soil, especially in Lapland, turning Finland into a northern front against Moscow. Yet Helsinki carefully guarded its independence, refusing to sign the Tripartite Pact or declare war on Britain and the United States, framing the struggle as a separate war of national survival. By the 19th of September, 1944, facing Soviet advances and growing exhaustion, Finland signed an armistice with Moscow, forcing German troops out in the Lapland War. Pragmatic, fiercely independent, and trapped between two powers, Finland emerged, battered but unconquered. Thailand, led by Prime Minister Plaek Phibunsongkhram, was thrust into World War II when Japan invaded on the 8th of December, 1941, the same day as Pearl Harbor, launching landings at Songkhla, Chumphon, and Prachuap Khiri Khan. After hours of fierce skirmishes, Bangkok ordered a ceasefire, and by the 21st of December, 1941, Thailand had signed a formal alliance with Tokyo. In return, Japan allowed Thailand to annex territories from British Malaya, Burma, and French Indochina, briefly expanding its borders. Yet despite its status as an official ally, Thailand maintained a delicate autonomy, with Phibun portraying the pact as pragmatic survival rather than ideological loyalty. Beneath the surface, the Free Thai movement, Siri Thai, backed by the United States and Britain, organized resistance, built underground networks, and funneled intelligence to the Allies. When Japan's fortunes collapsed, these ties allowed Thailand to reposition itself, escaping the war with sovereignty intact and avoiding the fate of harsher Axis-aligned states. Following France's crushing defeat by Germany in June 1940, Marshal Philippe Pétain established the Vichy regime on the 10th of July, 1940, headquartered in the spa town of Vichy. While northern France fell under direct German occupation, Vichy retained nominal control of the south and much of France's colonial empire. Though officially neutral, it openly collaborated with Berlin, signing the armistice of the 22nd of June, 1940, implementing anti-Jewish statutes from October 1940, and permitting German access to bases in Syria, Madagascar, and North Africa. Vichy forces even resisted Allied landings during Operation Torch in North Africa in November 1942, clashing at Algiers, Oran, and Casablanca. But after the Allies advanced and the French fleet scuttled itself at Toulon on the 27th of November, 1942, Germany occupied all of France, ending Vichy's autonomy. Though framed as pragmatic survival, history judged the regime as a symbol of collaboration, stained by complicity in deportations and repression. On the 7th of April, 1939, Fascist Italy launched a swift invasion of Albania, toppling King Zog I and formally annexing the country into Mussolini's empire. By the 12th of April, 1939, the Albanian parliament proclaimed King Victor Emmanuel III of Italy as King of Albania, turning the kingdom into a puppet state ruled through Italian governors. Albania quickly became a strategic springboard for Italy's the 28th of October, 1940 invasion of Greece, though the campaign collapsed, forcing Germany to intervene in the Balkans in April 1941. After Mussolini's downfall in September 1943, German forces moved in, occupying Albania and installing a collaborationist government under Recep Mitrovica. Despite this, communist partisans, led by Enver Hoxha, waged relentless guerrilla warfare from the rugged mountains. By the 29th of November, 1944, after fierce battles in Tirana and Škoda, the Germans were driven out, and Hoxha's communists seized power, marking Albania's transition from Axis client state to one of the most hardline regimes of the post-war communist bloc. In September 1940, Japan entered French Indochina after striking an agreement with Vichy France, and by August 1941, Cambodia formally came under Japanese occupation. Though Japan retained the colonial administration, it elevated King Norodom Sihanouk, declaring the Kingdom of Cambodia independent on the 9th of March, 1945, as part of Tokyo's effort to legitimize its Greater East Asia co-prosperity sphere. In reality, Japanese military command held firm control, using Phnom Penh and other bases to support operations in Burma, Thailand, and Malaya. Sihanouk's regime was largely symbolic, as Japanese troops enforced policies and extracted resources to fuel their war machine. When Japan surrendered on the 15th of August, 1945, French forces quickly returned, restoring colonial rule by October 1945. Yet the brief episode of Japanese-backed independence under Sihanouk left a lasting imprint, seeding both nationalist aspirations and political upheavals that would dominate Cambodia's post-war trajectory. On the 21st of October, 1943, with Japanese backing, Subhas Chandra Bose proclaimed the Provisional Government of Free India, Azad Hind, in Singapore, declaring war on Britain and the United States. Recognized by Axis powers including Germany, Italy, and Japan, Bose established ministries, issued its own currency, and even raised the Indian National Army, INA, from captured British Indian soldiers and expatriates across Southeast Asia. In March 1944, the INA, fighting alongside the Japanese 15th Army, crossed into Indian territory at Manipur, briefly capturing towns like Moirang, where the Azad Hind flag was raised. Yet the advance collapsed during the disastrous Imphal campaign, March to July 1944, as Japanese supply lines broke and Allied air superiority grew overwhelming. By August 1945, with Japan's surrender, Bose's government dissolved and the INA was disbanded. Though militarily defeated, Azad Hind electrified Indian nationalism, transforming Bose into a legend and striking a psychological blow to Britain's waning empire. From puppet states to vanished empires, World War II's shadows still haunt us. Which story shocked you most? Comment below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more untold history.